What up, everybody? This is your Cosmic Homegirl, and by request, I am doing a very quick video on Sister James Charles, the sister of the world YouTube. For those who don't know, James Charles is a YouTuber who does makeup, and he has been all up in the news, including like literally all up in the news, like CNN headlines and everything under some because of some scandals that have been going on. And I've had people message me and comment on some videos and ask, are you going to look at James Charles's chart? So there's a couple things that I noticed with James as far as like why certain things. I didn't get to do as much research as I wanted, but maybe I can come back and do a part 2. But I just wanted to do this video very quickly because of something that I noticed. Something important that I noticed. Okay. So pretty much James Charles is in the news because he was friends with another YouTuber, Tati Westbrook. She is older. She is like a mom figure to him. He called her mom. She saw him as someone to mentor. She helped to kind of bring up his career, his YouTube career, when he was still kind of a baby on YouTube and social media pretty much. And there have been some scandals around Miss James. I say Miss because he's very feminine, but he is a biological male. Because number one, when he first stepped onto the scene, he gained popularity. He admits due to some lies. Like, for example, he would post some looks on Instagram and tag major makeup corporations and brands. And it turns out that he said he actually wasn't even using their makeup because I think, from what I can recall, he said he couldn't afford their makeup brands at the time. He was really using like CoverGirl, and he was really tagging Too Faced. That's just an example. Number 2, and we all know that tagging on social media can gain you, some attention. So number 2, he went on the Ellen show because he was, shot into a little bit of popularity due to supposedly using a ring light, like demanding to bring a ring light to school for picture day when he was in high school. And I guess that story turned out to not be true, or to be, there's not much truth to that story. But he still got a chance to be on the Ellen show, which once again boosted him into fame and popularity, right? So that's kind of like a base of like how he became popular. It was built on some deception, a little bit of deception and manipulation, I guess you can say. But yeah, so some other things recently surfaced due to, once again, jumping back to Tati Westbrook. Tati helped him out to help him boost even more into fame because she had a pretty decent following on her own platform, and she would always shout him out. She's got a video on that whole thing. Anyway, so she recently made a video pretty much tearing him down because she felt betrayed by him because of him promoting a rival brand of hers. And she went on Snapchat crying, felt deceived, and then she did a video just pretty much exposing him, right? So that's the backstory for those who don't know, okay? If you already know, I'm sorry, okay? I'm a 7th houser, and I try to have things be equal and balanced and fair so everybody understands what's going on. So, and for those who are here who don't know what this is an astrology chart. This is the day that you're born. And if you have the time that you're born to, frozen as far as what's going on above us in the cosmos, okay? I have little videos on that too. Look back in my history. Maybe I can tag one if I have time. But it's frozen. And each one of these little symbols is for the planets and the luminaries, the moon and the sun, and then the planets and other asteroids and things that, we take a look at this frozen map of you that's basically your own personal blueprint or fingerprint up there in the universe. And all of these little symbols, all these planets and everything, they all give off some sort of energy that dictates your personality traits, okay? So the as above, so below thing applies here. Okay, so this is Jane's chart. Now, this is a speculative birth time. Actually, I'm still trying to pick up on a good rising sign for James, for to figure out what could be his birth time. I'm not someone who is subscribed to James, although I've seen videos with him in them from other people that I have followed when he's done collaborations with them, and I've heard about him, like little headlines about him from other channels that I watch, like reporting on stuff that happens to him. But I haven't watched a lot of his videos to get a feel for his personality, to read, you know, his energy well enough to know what his rising sign is. So I'm just gonna do a solar chart. Okay, I'm gonna do a solar chart. But let me just tell you guys the energies that I pick up on from James. You know, so if we knew what time he was born, it could move things around to give a whole other layer of information and a whole, you know, another side of the story and much bigger picture and more details. But we don't know that. So I'll just tell you guys what I pick up on from him. The obvious Gemini, his sun sign is Gemini. The obvious Libra, he has Mars in the sign of Libra. But I also pick up on maybe some Pisces energy from him somewhere. Possibly some Capricorn. Something that can be kind of domineering and very focused on business. Like super focused on business and success and climbing to the top. Some sort of very strong Capricorn. Or maybe he has planets in his 10th house. Or his Saturn could be in the first house or somewhere very strong. Like, and I say Pisces, I pick up on some Pisces because of his level of artistry. There's something with his level of artistry. It's super creative. So he's got a strong Neptune, Pisces, or 12th house presence in his chart. If you don't know what that means, I'm sorry, but you can ask questions. Okay. So, and also because of the fact that he fantasizes about straight men, which I'm going to get into in a second too. He fantasizes about straight men a lot. The fantasy, Neptune, Pisces, and the 12th house rule fantasy, right? So I feel like he has something with that energy very strong in his chart to make him always have that wishful thinking that he wishes he can change a straight guy into being gay or bi, you know, to be down with him pretty much, okay, and to be attracted to him. And then also there's some energy that has to do with business, being very business minded, being very associated with climbing to the top, that puts him in the category of, I feel like there's a strong Capricorn, Saturn, or 10th house, because sometimes people can use the darker side of that energy, which is very domineering and can be seen as a quote unquote bully. And some people said he could be kind of bullyish in a way. And, you know, some of those straight boys said that he kind of was trying to push them and dominate them into, no, you're not straight, you know, trying to kind of manipulate them. But also it's like in a very strong, like a little bit of a slightly forceful way. And it's been said that allegedly he's made some comments that said, well, you know, I'm famous or I'm a big name, so therefore I can do what I want or get what I want. And he's used his fame and power for boys, you know, straight boys, and saying, hey, I'll fly you out. I'll do these things for you. I'll take you to events with me. You know, there's just different power. There's something to do with power with James. Very strong in his chart. Power and business and domineering. So that's why I'm saying, man, I wish I knew his birth time. And I wish I was like a big enough fan of his in the past to really tap into and feel his energy. But anyhow, this is what we're working with. Okay. Now, let me tell you guys why some things are coming to the surface with James. As far as the whole thing with him, being very much about business, to where it can kind of spoil friendships, and also, you know, the whole kind of dominating, and some people say, you know, that he could be a little bit about his money, like he's about that coin, like he's about he's about business. And he's said that himself in some video clips that I've seen, that he's very much about business. He's very hardworking. So that tells me, first of all, his Virgo moon shows that. Virgo, all the earth signs are extremely hardworking. And if you're not an earth sign and you're hardworking, good for you. You probably have earth somewhere in your chart very strong. Okay. His moon is in Virgo. His mind is on work a lot. Virgo moons can just keep going and going and going and going in that hamster wheel nonstop when it comes to their work. They go and go and go until things are finished, and they often feel like things are never finished. So they're always busy doing something, always working. His moon, you know, depending upon his birth time, it could make this aspect to Saturn. This is very speculative. Again, I don't know if that's what time he was born. But it would make sense for him though. Moon trine Saturn. That's someone who's very responsible even at a young age. Moon trine Saturn, and they tend to work early and have a great work ethic. And also it's someone who could be very independent from their parents, or maybe their parents could have put a lot of pressure on them to be mature at a young age. So this aspect, I think maybe he could have been born like earlier in the day for this to be true, because he did move out on his own in not New York, I think from New York to LA if I'm not mistaken, but he lived in LA in his own apartment very early on. Very business minded man. My oldest kid is a Virgo moon with the moon trine Saturn as well, like James, and he still lives with me, but he is a very hard worker. He's very, very mature from a young age, was given a lot of responsibilities and duties by me, his mom. Moon can represent your mom, your family. I encourage him from an early age to be very independent and self-sufficient. So this could be true for James, this aspect right here. Okay, so that's the hardworking, very focused on work, maybe even the business. But here's what I feel like is going on is this right here. The planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, this is a planetary transit that happens once every 84 years. So this is a rare thing, right? So this is a big deal. This planet Uranus, it stays within a sign for like 7 to 8 years. So it moves kind of slow. So that means it affects your life in a huge way. Uranus itself, what it brings is great change, like that's unexpected. It really flips your life around. It could be like that Tower card sometimes, like you don't expect something and bam, your life is struck by lightning. Uranus literally rules literal lightning too. That's what can happen. Lightning bolts get shot into your life and it's like, whoa, they take you by surprise. They send you off somewhere else on a totally different path, naked to the world, just standing there, like not always knowing what to do. And you just got to figure things out. It can make your life flip around into like a 360, like you know what I'm saying? So that's what this planet rules. Now Uranus is creeping up on his Saturn in Taurus. This is a generational planet. Only once every 28 years is Saturn back around to the same sign. So if you have Saturn in a certain sign, that's a generational thing. Like your peers born like within the same year or two as you guys all have Saturn in the same sign usually. So him and his peers, his generation, the Saturn and Taurus recent generation, late 90s, early 2000s, Uranus creeping up on their Saturn. This is bringing them great change when it comes to Saturn. And Saturn is about business and power and status, right? And money, like having a lot of power through money. Okay. So I feel like Uranus is bringing him a lot of changes now that it's creeping up. It's at like 3 degrees right now and his Saturn is 10 degrees. So yeah, I would say that's within the vicinity to be shooting those lightning bolts to that part of himself, to where there is a wake-up call, Uranus, about his possible abuse of his own power, which is Saturn. Okay, that's number one culprit that I noticed right away when all this stuff started popping off with James, right? So this is going to continue. He's going to continue to get awakenings and wake-up calls about the way he handles business and his sense of power. Now, another thing with power that I noticed within his chart is he has the sun in Gemini in an opposition to Pluto in Libra. Actually, he has his sun in an opposition to 3, I would say, are malefics within astrology, meaning they're like a quote-unquote negative influence, but you can always turn a negative around into something that you can learn from and that you can overcome, and it can make you a very powerful person that pushes through and makes it through the fire, yada yada yada, right? Okay, so the sun is like you, okay, da 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 da, I am here, everybody. And how you consciously do that is the sun. So the sun in his chart makes an opposition to, first of all, Lilith. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, you guys. I'm sorry if I am. I'm having a very strong Mercury transit right now, which can make my mind switch around a lot. Thank goodness it's only temporary. But so the sun in an opposition to Lilith. Listen, I'm gonna have a workshop that I'm doing, and I will leave the information below this video, but I have a workshop I'm doing on Lilith with one of my partners in crime. Her name is Apollonia. She's my astro bestie. We talk astrology every single day, astrology and real life every single day. I kid you not, daily, right? We're looking at charts. We're looking at our own charts. We're looking at stories in the news and then looking up those people's charts and discussing it every single day from a real life perspective. So we're doing a workshop on Lilith and the asteroid. It's the asteroid Black Moon Lilith and what she represents and what she can bring to you in your life. So the sun in an opposition to Lilith. So he has and also the Chiron, the asteroid Chiron. So he has these two asteroids together. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's like where you can kind of suffer in life a little bit. So Chiron combined with Lilith opposing the sun, it's like destined that a part of his identity, which is the sun, can be bruised or, damaged to do with Lilith. Lilith deals with raw femininity, raw sexuality, the kind of a dark vixen type of energy. It could be the darker side of Lilith, So people can see you as Lilith when it makes an aspect to the sun, which is you. So, and also the sun is looking at these planets. So this is an opposition to the sun. So oppositions can mean others, so his issues can be with others, something to do with his identity and others. He could be easily like pained by, and in regards to Lilith, that's like something to do with sexuality for him. Doesn't matter male or female. Lilith is named after it's a feminine energy, but he's a very feminine man. He identifies as feminine, from what I have seen at least. So he has issues with his femininity. And he said that a lot because he said that he wants to be very feminine in a relationship with a man. So therefore, he's been called out for putting himself in positions to where he's labeled as a catfish. Like he's targeting straight men a lot, okay? Because he really wants to just be that feminine person in a union with a masculine man. So he has a lot of issues with that. He's been hurt over that, okay? Now, Pluto is a planet of sexuality too, and power and silent hidden power, and also sometimes abuse and abuse of power. Now, when you have the sun and Pluto opposition, sometimes a person that has this, they could have dealt with sun can represent father energy in your chart, like your literal father and what you've inherited from him and how he was as a person, like his personality and his personality traits that you inherited can be seen with the sun. So sun in opposition to Pluto, I don't know his relationship with his dad. I've only heard people talk about his mom, and him talk about his mom and cry about her in a video and all that. But sometimes people that have a sun and Pluto opposition, there was some sort of power struggle with their father between them and their dad. And through that, they transform through pain from that challenge, that opposition, that problem with their own father. So even if he's never spoken about it, maybe this could be something that's secret because Pluto can rule things that are secret and hidden. Okay. But the sun illuminates what is hidden. So, this is once again a planet that can rule sexuality. So James is very open and blunt about his sexuality and about his feelings towards men or boys or whatever. So Sun Pluto people, they'll just, the sun illuminates their sexual stuff. They're just like, bing, it's here, I'm here, this is me, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is who I have a crush on or who I am lusting after, chasing after, all that, right? So that's and this can also mean that he may have an issue with abuse of his own power and sexual power by having the sun in an opposition to Pluto. Another thing is he has Mercury in an opposition to Lilith, like almost exact, like 28 degrees here and 28 degrees here in opposite signs. So they oppose each other. So Mercury Lilith oppositions, that can mean that, the way Mercury is how you speak and what you think about. And when there's something opposite you, you're looking at it. You're always looking at it. So he's always looking at or thinking about Lilith things, which is like, raw, primal, and this is in Scorpio, which also rules the genitals and secrets and sex and taboo things, right? So he's always like thinking about stuff like that, speaking about it. He will just spit fire psh, psh, with this Mercury Lilith opposition, like just always talk about that stuff. So one thing that's interesting is when we look at where the planets are right now. Like I said, we talked about Uranus creeping up on his natal Saturn, and that's already been very, very noticeable, right? But also we have a full moon building up as I'm recording this. It happens on May 18th, 2019. The full moon that's coming up is at 27 degrees of Scorpio and Taurus. Full moons are the sun and moon opposing each other in opposite signs, like directly exact, right? So we've got the sun, it's going to be here at 27 degrees of Taurus. The moon will be at 27 degrees of Scorpio. So they will be hitting almost exactly this opposition in his chart. That to me, now it may be that something on the day of the full moon will be like even more secrets will be revealed about James. But a lot of times full moons, it's like things come to a head on the day, or maybe a day or two prior or after the full moon. But even building up to it is when things start to move. Like you start to see the effects that the full moon is going to bring, or you start to see the issue at hand, if there is an issue, that the full moon will bring a final answer to, a finalization of something. So we've already had that building up. So this will be a finalization of something that the full moon in May 2019. It hits him directly, so close to these planets. There's no way that the James Charles drama 24/7 24/7 drama news is going to stop anytime soon. It, at least surrounding the full moon, the days surrounding the full moon, it's still going to be very strong. Okay. So yeah, full moons illuminate things. It's two luminaries. The sun and moon both give light to the earth, right? So they will give light to Mercury, which is information, and Lilith, which is dark. It could be darker themed things, like I said earlier, something to do with his sexuality, or, his raw primal feelings and displays of his sexuality and femininity and all that stuff, right? So yeah, and the full moon is also very close to the sun. If we want to get technical by degree, it's very close to the sun in his chart, even though it's not in the same sign. It's not in Gemini, but it's very close to his sun in Gemini. Very close to his Chiron. So there's definitely going to be some finalization, some new truths that come to light along with the full moon in May. Okay. Now that full moon hitting his Lilith, oh my God, I'm like, yo, that is so telling. It's crazy. Now, as far as James, why does he want straight men? Like, why does he go after straight men? Well, here's a couple things I just saw. Once again, I looked at his chart very quickly. I didn't do as much deep research as I could because ain't nobody got time for that right now. But maybe I'll do a part 2 if more things come to light, right? So, I feel like like I said, he could have some strong Pisces, 12th house, or Neptune energy. The Neptune energy that I notice in his chart right now is he has the sun in a great aspect to Neptune now. Because this is a blue line, it is positive, but it's still the sun and Neptune interacting with each other, sending beams of light, exchanging energy with one another. So what that can do is make the sun is how you consciously present yourself, right? So he's consciously presenting himself in a very Neptune manner, which is very creative, yes, but also very dreamy, very not always. The negative side of Neptune is not always seeing things for what they really are, people for who they really are. You're like in fantasy land, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just kind of create your own reality, and your perceptions of things is what you wish to believe, and you only wish to live in your own reality. That's a negative of Neptune. So although it's beautiful for artwork and stuff, it can have people suffer a lot in the real practical world OMG, trust me. I have a Neptune thing in my chart, and I'm a Pisces moon. Oh my gosh, like daily we deal with stuff like that. But if he's aware of this, he can have a way to control that. But anyhow, moving along. So yeah, Sun trine Neptune could be him always wanting to live in a fantasy. He has a fantasy of turning straight men gay, or at least, maybe if they don't become gay full on, like turning them into like being attracted to him. I don't know. I don't want to offend any communities on here. So I'm trying to find the proper words. But, change their minds from being straight to being attracted to him. Another thing that I noticed is he has Mars, which is men. It's masculinity. Okay, so he, for a gay male, a man who's attracted to men, this could be the type of men they're attracted to. So Mars in Libra, from the boys that I've seen that have come forward and did videos about him and stuff, they looked very Libra to me. Like they had the slender nose, the symmetrical, like, classic male model, like boyish good looks. And, they had that Libra look to them. So he does like he is very into men who look good. Like he's into their looks. And I know that sounds like corny. Like people say, oh, isn't everybody into somebody that looks good? No, some people don't give a like they do not care how somebody looks as long as they have money or a certain status. They could be ugly AF, but you know what I'm saying? It's different for everyone. And you can see that in their charts. So I can see in his chart, looks are super important to him, especially pretty boys. He loves men who look like a pretty boy, but he's a pretty boy. So that's his problem, is he wants to be feminine, but he wants these men who have like almost a feminine look to them. Not saying that they themselves wear makeup, like that type of feminine. I'm talking about like their features are a little more like balanced, symmetrical, not super rugged, not too rugged. You know what I'm saying? He's attracted to that. Men who have the baby face, the real pretty look, he's attracted to that. So anyway, he has Mars in Libra, and he has an opposition of Mars and Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a planet of also like your wishes coming true. You wish for things, you just jump and go after things, and you have these big goals and dreams. But the downside to Jupiter is sometimes they can be things that are unattainable to you. It's unrealistic. You have things that are too grand for you, but you still believe, when you have this Jupiter opposition. So with Mars, that's his attraction to men. He has this belief in something that's like a really big dream, which is, oh, I believe that I can turn him from being straight to liking me. So this Mars Jupiter opposition can cause unrealistic actions. Actions is Mars. Your sex drive is Mars. Your pursuit of someone you are attracted to is Mars. So he has these too big of ambitions and goals when it comes to these men or boys or whatever that are unattainable, but he still wants to go after them. Mars and Jupiter opposition is beautiful for like going after actual goals that other people say, oh, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to achieve that. Mars opposite Jupiter says, oh yeah, bitch, watch me. I believe that I can, and I will. So that's another way that he's gotten to where he is, to the level of success that he is in, is because of this aspect. This is probably one of several factors, right? But when it comes to dating, it's like he chases after things that are way too grand of an achievement, So this is one of the reasons why he goes after straight men like that. And then he has Venus in Cancer. Now, if you are a man that is more feminine in nature, Venus can show the way that you display your love and your affection within relationships. And he has Venus in Cancer. And this is one of the ultimate like feminine signs. It just wants to be nurtured, wants to nurture others. It's maternal energy, super feminine energy. So this is why he wants to be like a woman in a relationship almost, But the challenge is the fact that he is attracted to these men who are very like Libra, you know, very pretty boy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyway, Venus in Cancer, this is also why he was crying about his mom. Cancer is a sign that loves their moms. If anybody has a planet in Cancer, their rising signs Cancer, sun, moon, whatever is in Cancer, you probably think your mom is like the most awesome person on the planet, and you'll do anything for her no matter how horrible she may have been. She is a queen, right? So this Venus in Cancer is what he tapped into to kind of cry about his mom on camera. But this is also why he's like super feminine. I noticed a lot of the gay boys that are in makeup on YouTube, they have planets in the sign of Cancer. I know that Manny MUA has Mars in Cancer. I know I did Gabriel Zamora's chart here on my YouTube. He has something in Cancer, either Mars or I don't know. I think he has a planet in Cancer too. But yeah, I noticed some of them have like Cancerian energy, which is very feminine. But what else before I sign off here? Okay, so people say that James is like arrogant and pompous and stuff. Now he may have some Leo in his chart. Like maybe he could be a Leo rising, have planets in the 5th house of his chart. Maybe he could be, you know, sun in the 1st house. Maybe this could be correct. Maybe he is a Gemini rising. I'm not sure at this point. They say he has like too big of an ego and all this stuff. Well, North Node in Leo. Now, this is a very karmic point in your chart. It can show like the direction your soul is moving towards in this lifetime to evolve, right? But it's what's new to you as a soul. So he hasn't done the Leo thing before, as far as we know from what we're working with. He's never done the Leo thing, but he's on a Leo mission. North Node and Leo people can be on a mission for fame, yes, for recognition, for adoration from others. But if this is like, you know, somehow, some way, you can tap into the lower vibration of this energy, which is you are moving way too quickly towards this energy, not taking step by step, you know, ways to move up to evolving into like the Leo archetype. You know what I'm saying? Which is someone who, yes, could be famous or just well known. Somebody who like they think they're a king or a queen, you know, or maybe they do become someone who is like that and who is worshipped and adored, but you're supposed to do it in the most humble way. So anyway, North Node and Leo, some people with this placement can think that there is an elevator to the top instead of wanting to take the stairs, right? Not saying that James doesn't work hard. He is known to be a hard worker, but they can try to get this upshot into fame a little too quickly, or, you know, maybe have this attitude like, I can get what I want because I'm me. You know what I'm saying? Like the negative lower vibration of Leo. So maybe he doesn't have any supporting. I would once again have to know his birth time, you guys, to get a bigger picture of this, but maybe he doesn't have any like supporting planets to help him to usher into this North Node in Leo. Like if he had some other planets in the sign of Leo, he'd probably know a little bit better of how to become this, you know, as a soul, like somebody who wants to be adored and, you know, who steps into this like regal presence, but like I said, still remaining at least kind of humble, you know. He doesn't have any other planets to support him on that, so he doesn't even know. So this is new as a soul. He's like too much into this Leo North Node. So that's being broken down. And one last nerdy tidbit is the eclipses, the eclipse cycle that just finished this year in 2019. For 2 years, from 2017 to 2019, we had the transiting, the moving. The green ones are the moving planets where they are now. This is hit where they were when he was born, the ones in black, right? So this always stays, right, with him. But where these were moving, they were actually in Leo and Aquarius 2017 to 2019. The eclipses can really rock your world. They can change your life also in a huge way. From 2017 to 2019, where on the axis of Aquarius and Leo. So that means the wheels of fate and karma and destiny have been turning like very strongly for James over the last 2 years. And what has happened, he's gotten into this North Node in Leo. He's gotten into like a really big upshot into fame, to Leo stuff, right? But the very last eclipse in this cycle happened January of 2019, and the effects of eclipses can be seen, felt, experienced, whatever, up to 6 months after the eclipse date. Okay, so that means from January to July 2019, which we are within that period as I'm recording this, the eclipse cycle is still in full effect with karma and fate with James Charles. So he's learning. The very last eclipse could be a doozy, like that finally pushes something in or out or both within your life. So with fame and notoriety, excuse me, something really huge happened for him while we're still in that very karmic Leo and Aquarius eclipse cycle. Another thing, I know I keep saying one last thing, and I know this is getting long, and if you guys don't understand anything I'm talking about, feel free to leave questions below. But this is another thing here. I feel like these planets transiting right here are somewhere significant in his chart that affects his public image, his social status, you know, how people see him getting along with people. First of all, the sign of Capricorn, where Pluto, the South Node, and Saturn all are clustered together. Now, this cluster all together in general can be one that brings down leaders, brings down people in high positions of power, or that people all look up to for some reason or another. You know what I'm saying? We can already see that as astrologers, but this is like these are slow moving influences. So we'll continue to see stuff like this in our world news in other areas. But look at James Charles. He was in a high position of leadership in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like on YouTube, a lot of kids look up to him. He has a huge following. He's in a very powerful position in business, which Saturn, Capricorn, they both rule that. Pluto is about power too. South Node is about karma. So all these three clustered together is like a letting go, a lesson, a breaking down, a destroy and rebuild of some sort of power to do with like something corporate, something business related, something social status, public image related. So for James, these must be somewhere very strong in his chart. If anybody has any idea what James Charles' rising sign may be, leave it in the video below. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Because like I said, I wasn't like a super fan to really watch his videos and pick up on his energy too much. Maybe I'll do that a little bit more. And like I said, come back and revise this. But anyhow, I feel like this has something to do with the breaking down and destroying of his rep, and then it could be rebuilt, you know, with this influence happening right now. So as far as predictions for Sister James, I think that as Uranus progresses into the sign of Taurus, it's going to keep on hitting his little Saturn here, which once again, that rules business, responsibility, maturity, power, your reputation. I think that as it progresses, it's going to buzz this and zap it with a bunch of change, which means he may end up changing directions in business. He'll at least keep on learning some lessons that'll make him have to switch up and change up his ways when it comes to business, when it comes to money, because the sign of Taurus, it rules money. And Saturn in Taurus, the negative side to it is on, you know, it could be kind of stingy. It could be stingy. It could be money hungry. Saturn is power, you know, and Taurus is money. So this is someone who, this generation actually of kids, they could be very like, I don't want to say they're all money hungry, but they could be really, if they're vibrating on the lower, darker vibration of their Saturn and Taurus, they can be very stingy. They can be money hungry. Yes, indeed. And they can just do whatever it takes to get the money that they want, the power, the success that they want. No matter what it takes, they'll do it. Even if that means like kind of pushing people around. You know, Saturn's energy can be bullyish in a way. You know, it can kind of give that off sometimes if somebody decides to, you know, operate on that end of it. Yeah, so it can kind of push and bully people as far as like, I need to get my money. So Uranus transiting over his Saturn, it can be teaching him some lessons, making him learn and realize that money can come and go so fast. Like this generation of people, you know, with the outer planets that James has, like the Saturn and Taurus, and you know, all these planets in Aquarius. Aquarius rules the internet, social media, marketing. So you know, this generation, and then the people before them that have like all these planets in Capricorn, are the ones that have even started this whole revolution of being able to make money off of social media, turning it all into a business. So you know, this is going to, he's going to continue to be able to know how to do all of that stuff. It's going to be important to him as far as how he, you know, creates a lifestyle for himself. But you know, Uranus is going to hit his Saturn, which is going to square all of this stuff, challenge all of this stuff. It's giving him reality checks. Anything that hits squares, Neptune a square is a frustrating aspect that can lead to some sort of change or a lesson. And so Uranus is eventually going to hit this. It actually right now it's squaring his Neptune, which is like reality check. You know, it's in earthy Taurus. Earth signs are about reality. So he already has this aspect in his natal chart. Uranus is activating it, making it more pronounced at this time in his life. But I think he's going to continue to have some changes and some breaking down and building back up, like suddenly a few times, with his reputation, with his money, with how he views money, with how he gets to the reputation that he wants, power and all of that stuff. You know, this is going to continue to affect that. And also Uranus in Taurus is going to square, which means challenge, his North Node in Leo, which once again, that's like somebody wanting to be on top, very regal, very royal, you know, very like, oh, you peasants beneath me. He's not completely like that. I know he calls his fans his sisters because he said he doesn't like the word fan, but so he does try to remain humble in some ways, but he can get a little too big-headed with this North Node in Leo. So Uranus in Taurus is going to keep moving through this sign until 2026, gonna make aspects to certain things in his chart. So once again, without his full birth time and everything, I can't do very strong predictions for him, but I know that business and how he views business and how he does business, he's going to go through some major changes. The changes don't always have to be negative. They can be some positive ones. Maybe he'll suddenly switch directions in what kind of business he's in at some point. Maybe he'll be challenged with how he markets himself on social media, which is all his Aquarius stuff. So that's just the input that I have at this time. Maybe I'll do some more later. So anyway, I've talked enough. That's it, you guys. That's what I have for the moment. Anybody else has any other input, please feel free to drop it in the comments and let me know. I'm sure there's so much more digging I could have done, but I just wanted to drop this real quick. Don't forget, like I said, I have a Lilith workshop. Lilith is definitely playing a part here in this James Charles scandal thing. Like, Lilith can rule some scandalous stuff, you guys. So if you want to know about what Black Moon Lilith, this asteroid, does and where she is in your chart and why and who, what, when, where, and all that stuff, I'll have a link to my workshop. It's a free workshop. I'll have a link to it below and you guys can check that out. But I hope this brought some light to the situation as far as people who are into astrology and understand astrology, like why he is the way he is. In no way did anything I say excuse his behavior, because I know people want to say stuff like that when I dissect someone's chart and say, this is why this person does this through astrology. It's not saying anything about being on anybody's side or anything like that. I'm not a pick a side. Oh my God, are you team this or team? No, I'm not on anybody. I'm on team me. Okay. I'm on team me and observing human behavior. Okay. So, it's just, these are points in his chart that point to why he is the way he is. It's just saying that he is set up a certain way but he still does have free will as far as how he plays out these placements in his chart. He still has free will. You know, you can either go the lower vibration and do the negative things that these placements can do, or you can rise above and be the higher vibration and learn and say, you know what, I'm gonna transcend this energy. I'm gonna transmute it into, instead of abuse of power, I'm gonna like burn myself down to the ashes, not literally, but burn myself down to the ashes as far as the person I used to be, and I'm gonna rise above, new and fresh on the scene, crispy and clean, a brand new me. Who was that Sister James before? I don't know her anymore. Who? I don't know her. You know, you can be that higher vibration, you know? So he has choices here. But anyhow, I'm gonna peace out, you guys, and hit me up if you would like a personal reading. Hit me if you have any questions, comments, or anything. All right. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram under Cosmic Homegirl, Twitter, same thing. Peace out.